Hi guys, happy Monday. Whoop whoop. Okay, I'm excited to jump on because I was like, I want to jump on live again because you guys know I go live every single day. So if you're new here, this is your first time watching and you jump on, say hello, so you're watching from. If you're watching the replay, make sure you cannot talk, hashtag replay so that way I can interact with you guys. I am going to be checking to make sure I can actually see the comments this time because for some reason the struggle has been real. Perfect. All right, cool. Yay. All right, you guys can jump on. So I'm going to give you all a second here to come hang, and if you watch the replay, say hi. Me and Ziggy are chilling. I'm like thrown off. I'm thinking it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm like, actually, it's not 9 o'clock. It's only 7. So say hello as you jump on. Thanks guys for watching. So I want to talk to you all today about 3 of the biggest realizations that I had I had them, and then also they're the same realizations that my clients tend to have as well. So these are like 3 things that have been coming up like a shit ton this week. So I was like, let's chat about them. Let's talk a little bit about them on social media because they're things that I went through like over years and years of like work and kind of figuring things out. And then my clients, like once they like realize these certain things, they're like, holy shit, like it all makes so much sense. So that's what we're diving into tonight. That's what we're chatting about. So again, if you watch, don't just watch in the corner, make sure you say hi. That's the rules of the live land with Erin, is that you introduce yourself so I can say hi to you afterwards. So, okay, when I was growing up, one of like the first realizations that I tend to have this like conversation with my one-on-one clients and people that are inside of my programs is that we have this huge need for that, like that the struggle needs to be real. And if you're kind of like, okay, what does that mean? What does that feel like? This is kind of what I'm talking about. So when I was growing up, it was always instilled with me like the harder that you work, like the more that you can have, or that things have to be really hard in order for it to come in. You have to work really hard. You have to show up. Like you have to go. And so my overachiever hustle brain was like, okay, I want to be really successful. So what I have to do is like, I have to go balls to the freaking wall. Like that was my mentality. I'm like, okay, if it takes a lot of hard work to get somewhere, I gotta go extra. I gotta go like 10x. So that's what I did for years and years and years. I was like, okay, hard work means that things need to be hard. There needs to be a struggle, that there needs to be something, bad to happen for something good to happen. And I kept creating that scenario in my life over and over again. I was like, okay, that's what it means. That's what it's gonna take. That's what I'm gonna do. And at one point I was just like, dude, I cannot do this. Like I was burnt out, I was struggling, I was overwhelmed because I kept recreating that same scenario in my head because we, whatever we focus on expands. I was like, all right, like things have to be hard, things can't be easy in order for things to feel good, in order for things to, feel enough, that there had to be some sort of really hard piece. And that's a story that, is projected on for a lot of us, honestly, and that's the story that we kind of seem to tell ourselves. Is like, all right, things have to be hard in order to feel successful. So whenever I was like trying to hit a goal, whenever I was trying to accomplish something in my life, I was like, basically, how hard can I make this? Like, how difficult can I make this? Because I thought if I made it really difficult, or if I thought that there was like 8 million steps, then it would feel good. Then it would feel good when I got there because there was this difficulty piece, and difficulty meant success. So therefore, if I felt that difficult and I was able to overcome it, if I was able to achieve it, then it was going to feel really, really good. So in my mind, that's the scenario that I created over and over, which is why so many people like really enjoy like that hustle. Like I need to do all the things, I need to be there constantly instead of just letting it be easy. So there's a difference between finding an easier way and being willing to show up and do the work. Like I'm willing to show up, do the work, and put the effort in, but I'm always searching now for an easier way because I realized along the way, and this is something that my clients will realize too, is like that things don't need to be hard in order to feel good, in order to feel success. Like things are able to come in, and the less that I got out of doing what everybody else was doing in their business, it was kind of like, I'm over the freaking rules of like what should be doing or what people should be having, or this strategy or that strategy. And I'm like, what feels good for me? Like, what do I enjoy doing in my business? And that's the way that I was going to run everything. So much shit started to open up because guess what? It felt really good. I was in alignment with it, and it's what lit me up. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I don't want to have all of this type of stuff with my business anymore. I don't want to have 18 different opt-ins and email marketing systems all set up. Like I still use some of those things, but it wasn't like that there was all this meaning associated with it that if I didn't do that, then it couldn't come. Or if I didn't run a Facebook ad, then this thing couldn't happen this way. If I didn't have this many people on, like a webinar, then whatever I wanted to happen couldn't come in. So I had to like let go of all that bullshit and all those rules around what it meant to run a business, instead of just tapping into like, what do I enjoy doing? I enjoy, putting out a program. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy being able to teach around this. Let me not make it difficult by trying to add in all these other steps and just like making it overwhelming for myself. And that's what I teach my clients to do as well. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Like, I want to put out this program, I want to put out this offer, but I know I have to have all these things, I have to do all these things. I'm like, why do you feel like you have to do that? Like, because everyone else says that I need to do that. It's like, well, what if we just did the things that we love to do in our business instead of trying to model somebody else's business method? Because that's how we learn, right? Like, we find somebody, we try to duplicate what they're doing, we learn what they're doing. That's how we grow, that's how we get information. And we have to do that. Like, we have to learn all of there's a learning curve when we start our business, and we're trying to take in all of the social media strategies, and we're trying to figure out what the hell we're doing. And, there's this learning period in our business. But there's also then this confliction piece of like, well, I really like that strategy, but I don't really like this strategy, but I feel like I need to do this strategy because everybody else is doing this strategy. We run in this damn circle. And so instead, it's like, what if we just shifted and saying, okay, instead of the struggle needing to be real, instead of me needing to make everything super freaking hard, let me find a way that's going to be easier. Let me find a way that's going to feel just really good for me, and going with that energy instead of just running ourselves in this burnout mode of trying to do everything, especially if you're creating programs like before you have even sold them. Like, if you have everything laid out and you just spent months and months focusing on building something and building all of your landing pages and building all of your opt-ins, all the tripwires and all the content for it, by the time you get to that launch process, you're probably fucking over what you wanted to talk about because you're not excited about it anymore. And you're like, I don't want to, this doesn't feel good for me to launch because I'm so burnt out about it. So it's instead of doing that, do it in the reverse. Start with putting out the idea, start with putting out what you're going to be launching, start getting people excited about it, because if you're excited about it, if you're running with that energy, people are going to feel that same draw and that same pull to be able to do what you want to do, because they're like, wow, she's so excited about it. And you're talking about where they need to go and what's going to be inside of it and the emotion, instead of just being like, let me focus on all this back end shit that I'm trying to work on and then launch the thing. So I do it in reverse because that feels good for me, and then I build it and figure it throughout the rest of the shit as I go along, because it's different. I run a lot of my programs more live, and each group that comes in and does a program with me has a very different energy, and so I'm able to tap into that feeling, but I just don't like to have all the rules and stuff in place. And with that, needing for the need for it to be hard, or the need for it to follow what everybody else is doing and have all the rules and all that kind of shit, there's also this huge thing that we often chase for this climactic energy. And that's the second realization that a lot of my clients will have, is that we chase things. We think that when we hit a certain goal or when we hit something, that everything's gonna change. We're like, okay, when I finally get to this number, when I finally get to this many clients, when I finally am able to get through this, when I'm finally able to be here, that's when everything's gonna happen. That's when things are gonna feel good. That's when things are gonna shift. That's when everything is gonna change. And then that happens, and we're like, what? Okay, next goal. And I personally operated, like I said, that chase, that hustle mentality with my whole life of let me do this, let me achieve this. And I never, ever stopped to celebrate along the way. And so one of the biggest things I love to, integrate with my clients is okay, we have to celebrate. We have to make sure that it feels good. We have to, take and enjoy each little step, celebrate every single thing, be able to share that, be able to focus on that, because then we're in alignment, and we're, the universe is saying, okay, great, you're feeling really good about this. I see that you feel good about this. You're celebrating it. Okay, perfect. Let's bring in more of that. And then we're able to create this huge, massive ripple where things are, keep coming, and they feel pleasureful and they feel good, because that's the energy that we're putting out. That's what we're focusing on. So then therefore, that's what keeps expanding. But if we're just like constantly trying to go from one place to the next and forgetting all the work that we did, we'll keep chasing that. So it's not going to matter if you make $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month. If you're not celebrating, the one client that signed up for your program because you wanted 10 and you forgot that one person did say yes and you're focusing on the 9, like, there's still that scarcity energy of like, when's going to be enough? When's going to be enough? And it will never feel like enough if you don't forget to celebrate each little thing along the way. So that's like such a huge shift. It's something that feels so good and it makes you feel good too. So like that's where we get to shift our energy. That's where things get to be different. That's where things get to really expand for us, because it's like, okay, like I'm taking in everything that I'm doing. I'm not just living for the constant next moment, because we think when that next thing comes in that's going to be the game changer, which is why we tend to chase the relationships, or we tend to chase the next step in our business, because we think it's going to feel so good when we get there. So instead of running on that climactic energy, or the fact that the struggle needs to be real, like, how can you just live more in the moment? So be grateful for what you have, say thank you, ask for more. Like, that's the energy that we can run on, instead of just focusing on everything else, because we'll get wrapped up into that and we'll get burnt out, and then we'll be like, I'm gonna pull out my hair, I'm gonna pull out my braid, because there's so much more that we can always be doing. So the third thing, that this is probably one of like the biggest realizations, and I share this actually with my email list, and my clients, like, once they have this, they're like, oh crap. I also have like little reminders that pop up on my phone, and one just popped up, so this is actually really funny that I'm talking about this. So the third thing is, when we are building a business, and I know we've all said it, and if you're watching this and you've said it, like, drop it below. If you're watching on the replay, like, say yes, me, something, because we've all said at some point in our business, like, I want to, make more money in my business, or I want to, be able to increase my income because I want to pay off debt. And that's usually like the first thing when I ask people. I'm like, okay, so what, like, when you're earning money in your business, like, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, I want to pay off debt, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. But like, that's the sole focus. And for some people, like, that's like their only main focus. They're like, well, I just want to get out of debt, and then I'll do everything else. Or I just want to like pay off this card, or I want to pay off this coach, or I want to pay off this thing. And like, guess what they end up creating is more debt, because what we focus on expands. So if you keep focusing on the fact that there's more debt, like, that's a negative energy. That's not fun. Like, that's not exciting. Like, yes, as you get in more money, you're obviously going to be paying off debt. But like, what if you shifted that and said, like, okay, when the money's going to come in, like, I'm so excited for, the different trips that I want to take, or, the charity that I want to give back to, or this thing or that thing. And you're focusing on more of this like positive energy. When you focus on that, yes, you'll still be able to pay that off. I'm not saying that you can't pay off debt or do that. You're losing the focus here if that's what you're thinking that I'm saying. I'm saying is, like, why don't you focus on something that's more exciting, something that feels more good, because guess what? Then it all gets to come in, and that's way more entertaining for all of us to think about, and that's way more fun to put our energy into, instead of being like, oh, I'm just gonna focus on debt, because then we create more of that. So if you focus more so on like, let me have fun, let me plan a trip, let me, give this back to somebody, or whatever it is that you want to focus on, then you're like, hell yeah, like, that sounds way more exciting for me to bring in more money in my business, so that I can do those things. Oh yeah, and I get to pay off some of this. Like, awesome, amazing. Like, that's where we shift. Like, that's where things get to be different. So stop focusing solely on debt, because you're gonna keep running in this spiral of like, that's what you keep creating. So even if you don't run a business and you listen to this chunk, stop focusing all of your time and your energy on the debt, on the things that you owe, like, because you will keep just running into that. It's the same thing why, we see people that get a huge amount of money and then it's all gone right away, because we recreate what we know. And if we do those scenarios until something is different, until we decide that things are going to be different, then things aren't different. We make decisions. My coach said this to me the other day. She said, we make decisions from where we are. If we make decisions from where we're at, we'll keep recreating where we're at. So we need to make them from who we want to be, who we want to become, and that's where we make the decisions from. So that's what I got for you guys tonight. So the 3 things, first of all, like not chasing things, not just, you know, feeling the need to do things in our business because everybody else is doing them, doing the things that light us up, you know, not running for that climactic thing, or, you know, in order to feel successful, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and not focusing on all of our thoughts and our time and our energy on the negative and on the debt and on the things that we maybe don't have yet. Instead, shifting into that and becoming the person that you need to become, so then that way, when those things start to come in, you're excited for them, you're celebrating them, and you're feeling pleasurable for them. Like, that's where it gets to be so fun. Like, that's where things get to be different. So that's what I got for you guys on this lovely Monday evening. If you watch the replay, make sure you use #replay. Thank you guys for jumping on, and we will chat again tomorrow. Goodbye.